United Airlines has announced, or it's being reported that they will announce actually in October, that they're going to take their gate agents, the people who take your ticket when you get on the plane, and these are people who are unionized and make, you know, in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000 a year. That's a decent middle class income in many parts of this country. They're going to take these folks and fire them in a bunch of cities and hire instead contractors, subcontractors, hire companies that pay their employees $9 to $12 an hour. So, you know, they're taking, what, $40,000 a year is around, what, $36 an hour or something? I don't know what it is. I don't know how to do that math. But in any case, they're taking people who are making a decent living and they're going to replace them with people who are making poverty wages. Now, why would United do that? Because this is the Walmart business model. The McDonald's fast food business model is now starting to explode across America. I mean, it got a lot of publicity over the last few months, particularly because of Occupy and because of the $15 minimum wage movement and the activity in Seattle. And what happened was all these big companies that hadn't been using the Walmart fast food business model said, whoa, look at this. We could do this? Holy cow. Now, let me explain. The Walmart fast food business model is really, really simple. You pay people a low enough wage that it's legal. It's above the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, but it's low enough that they are poor enough when they work for you that they qualify for food stamps and housing assistance and medical care. So the Walmart fast food business model is, let's have part of the cost of our employees, those things that keep our employees alive, their food, their medical care, their housing, let's have those costs paid for by the taxpayers, and we can take the money that we would have otherwise paid those employees and we can give it to our stockholders and our executives can take a larger paycheck. This is called internalizing profits and socializing costs, or externalizing costs. And companies all around the country, all around the United States, and this is something that, you know, in most countries you can't do this. Because in most countries the minimum wage has been indexed to inflation. If our minimum wage was indexed to inflation right now, it'd be about $12 an hour. Which means that most minimum wage workers would not qualify for food stamps. They'd only qualify if they had a very large family, a lot of kids, and they were the only worker in the house. Back in the 60s, in 68, which is the year that I'm referencing, if you index to minimum wage workers, and in 68, I was one of them. I was a DJ at a local radio station, and I also worked at a gas station and at Bob's Big Boy. Back then, minimum wage workers earned enough that they did not qualify for food stamps. Nowadays, minimum wage workers, because we didn't index it to inflation, and the minimum wage is not $12 and something in change an hour. Instead, it's still only $7 an hour. Now, Walmart can do something here that they pretty much can't do in any other developed country in the world, and that is pay their workers so little that you and I, as taxpayers, assuming that you have a job and you're paying taxes, that you and I are picking up the Walmart costs and the fast food costs. And this, you know, the math on this has been done. Congressional Democrats released a report earlier this year that suggested that American taxpayers are subsidizing every Walmart store in the country to the tune of $900,000 to $1.75 million per year per store by picking up these costs, these what would otherwise be direct costs for employment. If Walmart was paying their workers $15, $20 an hour, if they were paying what Costco pays, we would not be subsidizing them. But the Walton family's looking at this going, hey, we're only worth $100 billion. We need more. And the CEOs and the stockholders and, you know, everybody else. So this business model, has Walmart's gotten away with it over the years. And the fast food industry adopted this about a generation ago and started doing this. And they've gotten away with it. And so now United Airlines is saying, hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We can get in on this thing. This is just wrong. And there's 3 different ways that we could break this down, that we could stop it. The first would be to simply raise the minimum wage. And in fact, the reason why the Obama administration proposed a $10.10 an hour minimum wage is that at that level, at $10.10 an hour, in most states in the United States, if you're a single person and you're earning that, you no longer qualify for food stamps and public assistance, most public assistance. So it breaks that business model, which is why these companies are fighting against it so hard, why the Republicans that they own in Congress are refusing to even consider legislation to raise the minimum wage. And the Republicans control the House of Representatives, where all legislation has to originate. The second way that we could break this business model is to roll back Taft-Hartley, is to repeal the Taft-Hartley Act that was passed during the Harry Truman administration over his veto 3 times, to repeal Taft-Hartley, which created this carve-out for any state that declares that it wants to be a right to work for less state. And if you repeal Taft-Hartley, then you're operating under the National Labor Relations Act, the Wagner Act of 1935. And what that says is that, if it's card check on steroids. If a majority of people, if more than 50% of the people in a workplace say, I want to be in a union, you've got a union, and the employer can do nothing about that. They can't bust that union, and they cannot hire non-union employees. It's closed shop. And that would drive up wages, and that would break that business model. And the third way that we could break this business model, which is something that I've been suggesting for some time, actually all 3 of these are in my book, Rebooting the American Dream. The third way is to say we're no longer going to give tax breaks of any kind to any corporation that has even 1 employee who qualifies for food stamps. If you have even 1 full-time employee who qualifies for food stamps, you no longer can take tax deductions for anything. You can't deduct your executive's meals. You can't deduct the cost of the private jet. You can't. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to do it as draconian as that. Maybe you could just say you can no longer deduct executive salaries. But I mean, make it hurt. Recover that $1 million per Walmart. Recover that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars per McDonald's, per Burger King, per, whatever, per store. Recover that money and say, we the people are no longer going to pay, 30, 40% of your cost to have an employee. That's your job. You're the employer. And if you're going to follow this business model, it takes advantage of the fact that Republicans have blocked raises in the minimum wage and the right to unionize over the last 30, 40 years. If you're going to follow this business model, we're going to take a bite out of your backside. We're going to recover that money. The amount of money that these corporations are earning every year, the amount of expense that they are dumping on we the people, according to researchers at the University of Illinois, at the University of California, Berkeley, is $243 billion a year. That's how much you and I are subsidizing Walmart and the fast food industry. And now United says, hey, we want to get in on this game. Who's going to be next?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I'll tell you who's going to be next. Everybody. Every country, every company in America that has the ability to do it is going to start busting their unions and dropping their wages.